We're taking a deep dive into the 2024 minimum wage laws by state. If you're looking for a job, this information may influence your decision making. Understanding the minimum wage laws by state helps individuals make informed decisions about where to live and work in the U.S. There are 5 states that do not have a state minimum wage. There are a few states that wanted to establish and/or increase the minimum wage for 2024, but their state lawmakers shut that down. There are 2 states that are tied with having the lowest minimum wage at $5.15 per hour. Presently, the United States federal minimum wage remains at $7.25 per hour. Many states and cities have enacted higher minimum wage rates to supposedly better align with their state's respective cost of living. No more preamble, let's get into it. Alabama. Alabama is one of 5 states that does not have any state law governing wage and hour issues. Because of this, employers follow federal guidelines set forth by the Department of Labor. This amount has not increased, and the Alabama minimum wage remains at $7.25 per hour. Alaska. Effective January 1st, 2024, the state's minimum wage will increase to $11.73 per hour. In 2014, Alaska voters passed a ballot initiative to annually adjust the minimum wage for inflation. Salaried employees who are exempt from the minimum wage and overtime requirements must maintain a salary that is equivalent to 2 times the minimum wage for the first 40 hours worked. Effective January 1st, 2024, the minimum salary for these workers will increase from $868 weekly or $45,136 annually to $938 weekly or $48,796.80 annually. For more information, visit Alaska's Department of Labor and Workforce Development website. Arizona. Effective January 1st, 2024, the state's minimum wage will increase to $14.35 per hour. For any employee who customarily and regularly receives tips or gratuities, an employer may pay tipped employees a maximum of $3 per hour less than the minimum wage if the employer can establish by its records that for each week, when adding tips received to wages paid, the employee received not less than the minimum wage for all hours worked. Certain other conditions must be met. For more information, visit the Industrial Commission of Arizona's website. Arkansas. The state's minimum wage for 2024 will remain at $11 per hour. California. On January 1st, 2024, the state's minimum wage will increase to $16 per hour. Some cities and counties have higher minimum wages than the state's minimum wage. There is a separate list of city and county minimum wage amounts controlled by their respective city ordinances. This list is maintained by the University of California at Berkeley. For more specific information, visit the State of California's Department of Industrial Relations website. Colorado. According to the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment, effective January 1st, 2024, the minimum wage will increase to $14.42 per hour, $11.40 per hour with tip credit, unless there is a higher local minimum wage. The minimum wage in Denver will increase to $18.29 per hour, $15.27 per hour with tip credit. The minimum wage for Edgewater is now set at $15.02 per hour, $12 an hour with tip credit. The minimum wage for Boulder, Colorado, only in unincorporated areas, now has a minimum wage of $15.69 per hour, or $12.67 per hour with tip credit. For more information, visit the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment website. Connecticut. The Connecticut Department of Labor's website states that Effective January 1st, 2024, the minimum wage for the state of Connecticut will increase to $15.69 per hour. For more information about prevailing wages, please visit the Connecticut Department of Labor's website. Delaware. Effective January 1st, 2024, the minimum wage for Delaware will increase to $13.25 per hour. There is a list of minimum wage exemptions, including employees in agriculture, employees in domestic service, or in or about private homes, outside commission paid salespeople, inmates participating in Department of Corrections programs, and other exemptions. For more information, please visit the Delaware Department of Labor website. District of Columbia. On July 1st, 2023, the minimum wage for District of Columbia increased to $17 per hour for all workers, regardless of the size of the employer. In addition, effective July 1st, 2023, the base minimum wage for tipped employees increased from $6 per hour to $8 per hour. However, if an employee's hourly tipped earnings, averaged weekly, added to the base minimum wage does not equal the district's full minimum wage, the employer must pay the difference. Between July 1st, 2023 to June 1st, 2024, the minimum wage paid to a security officer working in an office building shall be no less than $19.39 per hour, plus an additional $4.80 per hour fringe benefit for health and welfare and all vacation and holiday fringe benefits as required. For more detailed information, please visit the District of Columbia's Department of Employment Services website. Florida. Effective September 30th, 2024, the minimum wage will increase to $13 per hour. For more specific information, including how employees can file a non-compliance claim and employer fines for non-compliance, visit the floridajobs.org website. Georgia. Employers subject to the Fair Labor Standards Act must pay the federal minimum wage of $7.25 per hour. Otherwise, the state's minimum wage remains unchanged at $5.15 per hour. This unfortunately puts Georgia in a two-way tie for having the lowest minimum wage in the U.S. Hawaii. Effective January 1st, 2024, the minimum wage will increase to $14 per hour. Employers may pay tipped employees less than the applicable minimum wage if the tipped employee customarily and regularly receives more than $20 a month in tips and the combined amount of wages and tips is more than the applicable minimum wage. To see the complete information regarding tip credit examples and more, visit the State of Hawaii's Department of Labor and Industrial Relations website. Idaho. The Idaho state minimum wage has not changed in 2024, remaining at $7.25 per hour. Illinois. Effective January 1st, 2024, the minimum wage will increase to $14 per hour for workers over 18 years of age. Youths under 18 years of age working less than 650 hours per calendar year will see a minimum wage increase to $12 per hour. Tipped employees will see a minimum wage increase of $8.40 per hour. There are several caveats to the Illinois minimum wage. For example, new employees during the first 90 days of employment may be paid up to 50 cents less per hour. If a worker under 18 years of age works more than 650 hours during any calendar year, must be paid the minimum wage amount for workers over 18 years of age. Tipped employees may be paid 60% of the hourly minimum wage, blah, blah, blah. For more information, visit the Illinois Department of Labor's website. Indiana. According to the Indiana Department of Labor, the minimum wage for 2024 is $7.25 per hour. With that being said, I found information presented during the 2023 session year at the Indiana General Assembly, House Bill 1192. The bill, among other things, put forth the following proposed increase to the minimum wage. After June 30th, 2024, the proposed minimum wage would increase from $7.25 per hour to $9.02 per hour, and another proposed minimum wage increase on December 31st, 2024 from $9.02 an hour to $10.07 per hour. This House bill also has proposed increases for tipped employee wages and other information. As of the recording of this video, I am not sure if this bill has passed. If you live in the state of Indiana, my home state, please let me know the status of House Bill 1192 in the comment section. Iowa, Kansas, and Kentucky. The 2024 minimum wages for Iowa, Kansas, and Kentucky remains unchanged at $7.25 per hour. There are other minimum wages for tipped employees. For more information, please visit the employment sites for these states. Louisiana. According to the Department of Labor, Louisiana is one of 5 states that does not have a state minimum wage law. Employers subject to the Fair Labor Standards Act must pay the current federal minimum wage of $7.25 per hour. In 2023, Louisiana State Senator Gary Carter introduced Senate Bill 149. If successful, this would have raised the minimum wage to $10 per hour in 2024. The Senate Finance Committee reported the bill without action, meaning, in glossed over terminology, the bill advanced to the floor. The proposal was ultimately rejected during the floor vote. This means there will be no increase in the minimum wage, and it stands at $7.25 per hour. For more information, contact the Louisiana Workforce Commission's website. Maine. Effective January 1st, 2024, the state's minimum wage will increase to $14.15 per hour. The minimum direct service wage will increase to $7.08 per hour, and the maximum tip credit also increases to $7.08 per hour. The 2024 minimum wage in the city of Portland increased to $15 per hour effective January 1st, 2024. In addition, as of January 1st, 2024, employers working in the city of Portland must pay its service employees a direct wage of at least $7.50 per hour. If the employee's direct wage combined with earned tips does not average on a weekly basis $15 per hour, the employer must pay the difference. The 2024 minimum wage in the city of Rockland increased to $15 per hour effective January 1st, 2024. For more information, visit the Maine Department of Labor website. Maryland. The Maryland General Assembly voted in April 2023 to raise the minimum hourly wage. Effective January 1st, 2024, the minimum wage for the state of Maryland will increase to $15 per hour for all employers regardless of the number of employees. The minimum wage for Howard County government employees will increase to $16 per hour effective July 1st, 2024. For other minimum wage ordinances, as well as youth wages and wages for service employees in Maryland, please visit the Maryland Department of Labor website. Massachusetts. Although there has been bills pushing for an increase in Massachusetts, they have not passed as of the recording of this video. With that being said, the minimum wage for Massachusetts in 2024 will remain at $15 per hour, and the service rate applying to workers who provide services to customers and who make more than $20 a month in tips is $6.75 per hour. Michigan. Effective January 1st, 2024, the minimum wage will increase from $10.10 per hour to $10.33 per hour. The 85% rate for minors aged 16 and 17 will increase to $8.78 per hour. The tipped employee rate of hourly pay increases to $3.93 per hour. The training wage of $4.25 per hour for newly hired employees aged 16 to 19 for their first 90 calendar days of employment remains unchanged. For more information, visit the Michigan Labor and Economic Opportunity website. Minnesota. The state of Minnesota's minimum wage will be adjusted for inflation in 2024. Effective January 1st, 2024, the minimum wage will increase from $10.59 per hour to $10.85 per hour for large employers. Other state minimum wages will increase from $8.63 per hour to $8.85 per hour. This includes youth training wage, summer work travel exchange visitor program wage, and the small employer wage. For the definition of the various types of employers, please visit the Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry website. Mississippi. Mississippi Senate Bill 2288 was proposed in the 2023 regular session to enact a minimum wage law for the state. Known as the Mississippi Minimum Wage Act, the act would like to establish fair minimum wages for workers within the state. As of the recording of this video, I can't find any information about this bill and if it passed. If you have any information, please leave it in the comment section. Until there is bona fide information regarding Senate Bill 2288, the state of Mississippi is one of 5 states that does not have a state minimum wage law. Employers subject to the Fair Labor Standards Act must pay the current federal minimum wage of $7.25 per hour. Missouri. Starting in January 1st, 2024, the state's minimum wage increases to $12.30 per hour. Employers are required to pay tipped employees at least half of the minimum wage, $6.15 per hour, plus any amount necessary to bring the employee's total compensation to a minimum wage of $12.30 per hour. Employers engaged in retail or service businesses whose annual gross income is less than $500,000 are not required to pay the state minimum wage rate. For more detailed information on Missouri minimum wage guidelines, visit the Missouri Department of Labor and Industrial Relations website. Montana. Effective January 1st, 2024, the minimum wage will increase from $9.95 per hour to $10.30 per hour. The minimum wage is subject to a cost of living adjustment based on the Consumer Price Index no later than September 30th of each year. There are some exceptions, including one that says businesses not covered by the Fair Labor Standards Act whose gross annual sales are $110,000 or less may pay $4 per hour. For more information on the exceptions, visit the Montana Department of Labor and Industry website. Nebraska. On July 1st, 2024, the minimum wage will increase to $12 per hour. There are additional requirements for tipped employees and student learners. For more information, visit the Nebraska Department of Labor website. Nevada. On July 1st, 2024, the final scheduled minimum wage increases to $12 per hour. July 1st, 2024 is also the date when the 2-tier minimum wage is eliminated. For more information, visit the State of Nevada Department of Business and Industry website. New Hampshire. The minimum wage for 2024 will remain at $7.25 per hour. Tipped employees who customarily and regularly receive more than $30 a month in tips directly from the customer will receive a base rate from the employer of not less than 45% of the applicable minimum wage. For more information, visit the New Hampshire Department of Labor website. New Jersey. The New Jersey minimum wage will increase by $1 to $15.13 per hour for most employees effective January 1st, 2024. Agricultural workers have a separate minimum wage, either for an hourly or piece rate, will see their minimum hourly wage increase to $12.81 per hour. Long-term care facility direct care staff will see their minimum wage rise to $18.13 per hour. For more information on additional minimum wages, visit the New Jersey Department of Labor and Workforce Development website. New Mexico. The state minimum wage remains unchanged at $12 per hour. Review the minimum wage information throughout the state by visiting the New Mexico Department of Workforce Solutions website. New York. On January 1st, 2024, the minimum wage will increase to $16 per hour in New York City and the counties of Nassau, Suffolk, and Westchester. The minimum wage will increase to $15 per hour in all other parts of the state. There may be different wages for home health care workers, fast food workers, but only in New York City small employers versus New York City large employers. Way too much for this video. For more information, visit the Minimum Wage Frequently Asked Questions page on the New York Department of Labor's website. North Carolina. The minimum wage for North Carolina remains at $7.25 per hour. Employees must pay at least $2.13 per hour to tipped employees as long as each employee receives enough in tips to make up the difference between the wages paid and the minimum wage of $7.25 per hour. For more specific information about how tipped employees are paid, please visit the North Carolina Department of Labor website. North Dakota. The minimum wage rate in North Dakota remains unchanged at $7.25 per hour with no training wage. Employers may utilize a tip credit of 33% of the minimum wage for tipped employees. With the tipped credit applied, the minimum direct wage payable to a tipped employee is $4.86 per hour. For more information, visit the North Dakota Department of Labor and Human Rights website. Ohio. The Ohio minimum wage is scheduled to increase January 1st, 2024 to $10.45 per hour for non-tipped employees and $5.25 per hour for tipped employees. The minimum wage will apply to employees of businesses with annual gross receipts of more than $385,000 per year. For employers at companies making less than $385,000 per year after January 1st, 2024, and for 14 to 15-year-old employees, the state's minimum wage is $7.25 per hour. For more information, visit the Ohio Department of Commerce website. Oklahoma. The Oklahoma minimum wage for 2024 will remain at $7.25 per hour. For more information, check out the Wage and Hours section of the Oklahoma Department of Labor website. Oregon. Oregon's minimum wage depends on where you work. Through June 30th, 2024, the following minimum wage rate will apply. $14.20 per hour is the standard minimum wage for certain counties, including areas outside the urban growth boundary. Employees can use the urban growth boundary lookup map to help determine which minimum wage rate applies. $15.45 per hour is the minimum wage in the Portland metro area and areas within the urban growth boundary. $13.20 per hour is the minimum wage for non-urban areas. Which minimum wage is correct? Scroll down the page and use the map to determine which minimum wage applies. For more information, visit the Oregon Bureau of Labor and Industries website. Pennsylvania. The minimum wage remains unchanged at $7.25 per hour. tipped employees are paid a minimum of $2.83 per hour when earning $135 per month in tips. The employer must make up the difference if the tips and $2.83 hourly wage does not meet the regular Pennsylvania minimum wage. Of course, there are a number of exceptions and exemptions. For more information, visit the Pennsylvania Department of Labor and Industry website. Rhode Island. Effective January 1st, 2024, the minimum wage increases to $14 per hour. There are some confusing exceptions for 14 and 15-year-old employees working no more than 24 hours a week, workers in or around a private home, newspaper carriers on home delivery, outside salespeople. You get the idea. For more information, visit the Rhode Island Department of Labor and Training website. South Carolina. South Carolina is one of 5 states that has no minimum wage law. Employers subject to the Fair Labor Standards Act must pay the current federal minimum wage of $7.25 per hour. Since there is no minimum wage law, there is no information on the South Carolina Department of Employment and Workforce website, but you can look for yourself and let me know if you find any information. South Dakota. The minimum wage will be increased to $11.20 per hour effective January 1st, 2024. The hourly minimum wage for tipped employees will be no less than $5.60 per hour. Employers are required to ensure that employees receive no less than the current minimum wage and must keep a record of all tips received by employees. For more information, visit the South Dakota Department of Labor and Regulation website. Tennessee. Tennessee is one of 5 states that does not have a state minimum wage law. Employers subject to the Fair Labor Standards Act must pay the current federal minimum wage of $7.25 per hour. The website also does provide a list of the 2024 prevailing wages for various professions like bricklayer, electrician, large crane operators, etc. For more information, visit the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development website. Texas. The minimum wage for my adopted state remains at $7.25 per hour. With specified restrictions, employers may count tips and the value of meals and lodging toward the minimum wage. Also, under certain circumstances, an employer may pay a wage that's below the minimum. This applies to an employee who is a patient or a client of the Texas Department of State Health Services and other exemptions. For more information, visit the Texas Workforce Commission website. Utah. According to the Department of Labor's website, the Utah state minimum wage does not contain current dollar minimums. The state law authorizes the adoption of the federal minimum wage rate. State law excludes from coverage any employment that is subject to the Federal Fair Labor Standards Act, meaning employers subject to FLSA must pay employees the federal minimum wage of $7.25 per hour. The Utah Labor Commission website did not have any information. If you find any, please let me know in the comment section. Vermont. The Vermont Department of Labor has announced an increase to the state's minimum wage. Beginning January 1st, 2024, the state's minimum wage will increase to $13.67 per hour. The state's tipped minimum wage will also increase. The basic tipped wage rate for services or tipped employees equals 50% of the full minimum wage. Effective January 1st, 2024, the tipped minimum wage will increase to $6.84 per hour. Visit the Department of Labor's website for more information. Virginia. There is no minimum wage increase for 2024. With that being said, every employer shall pay to each of its employee a wage at a rate of no less than the greater of $12 per hour or the federal minimum wage. Please visit the Virginia Department of Labor website for more information. Washington. Effective January 1st, 2024, The minimum wage for the state of Washington will increase to $16.28 per hour. A few cities have minimum wages higher than the state. For example, the Seattle minimum wage is $18.69 per hour. The SeaTac minimum wage is $19.06 per hour. The state minimum wage applies to workers 16 years of age or older. Employers can pay 85% of the minimum wage to workers aged 14 and 15. For 2024, the wage for the youth group will be $13.84 per hour. Phew! For more information, including a list of cities with minimum wage exceptions, minimum pay for rideshare drivers, and more, visit the Washington State Department of Labor and Industries website. West Virginia. According to the West Virginia Legislature House Bill 2481, every employer shall pay to each of his or her employees wages at a rate not less than $10 per hour. The House bill further states a number of exceptions, training wages, and more. For more information, visit the West Virginia Division of Labor website. Wisconsin. The state's minimum wage remains unchanged at $7.25 per hour. Tipped employees' minimum wage remains at $2.33 per hour. There are minimum wages for golf caddies, camp counselors, and opportunity employees. For more information, visit the Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development website. Wyoming. Employers subject to the Fair Labor Standards Act must pay the federal minimum wage of $7.25 per hour. Otherwise, the state's minimum wage remains unchanged at $5.15 per hour. This unfortunately puts Wyoming in a two-way tie with Georgia for having the lowest minimum wage in the United States. For more information, please consult with state employment websites where you reside. If I left any information out, please leave it in the comment section below. Are you currently working for minimum wage? Which state do you reside? Did you get a raise? I worked for minimum wage in the 80s for a number of years. It was tough, but we managed to make it work with some creative thinking. Let me know your story in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.